Hello SGD, Sacred Geometry Decoded, and I'm just making this quick here, working on something else, got distracted from the original uh, series I've been working on, but what we have here is an image of Hermes Trismegistus. It's the sun and the moon. It's worth noticing the winged beast eating the snake, the dragon, very similar to the ouroboros but not exactly the same. Here we see that same image, the compass and the square, and even Hermes are listed above, as above, so below. But a bit of a so I've been working on this concept of a 0 point marker and the astronomy and the calendar system laid in at the pyramid, and how the summer solstice, which marks Akhet, the beginning of the flood season, New Year's Day in Egypt, even the symbol for that being the same, just with that palm frond to mark time on the top, and the importance of the flood season in Egypt, but also the concept of cycles in time, and this being an important one. These are some other images of the Akhet, where we see the sun between the mountains and the lions, and we also have this bar which sits above both of them. So the bar is heaven, sky, ceiling, what is above. There we see the Akhet symbol, or horizon, which is also another term used for pyramid. When they're named, especially the Great Pyramids, so the Akhet of Khufu or the Akhet of Khafre is an old title for it. And we also have the two lions facing in opposite directions, the lion gods of yesterday evening and this morning. Another reference to time and, well, sunrise, sunset, and of course the Akhet. Now this is from about the 10th century BC, same thing with the lions. But we also have the ouroboros, the snake eating its tail, with child Horus in there, connection to the sun. Ouroboros from the work of Cleopatra the Alchemist, 3rd, 4th century BC, famous for Philosopher's Stone, but this is her symbol, and a translation, all is one, which is very Neoplatonist. And that'll be in the following videos. I'm just throwing this one out there quickly. Gilded Shrine of Tutankhamun, again the snake eating its tail, a reference, similar images to the cycle of time in regards to Akhet and Heliopolis. I'll pause a moment for that. Here's a similar image. Again, we have the Akhet and the cycle of the flood. This can be directly connected to the pyramid text, such as the pyramid text of Unas, where they talk about Heliopolis and the Hoas becoming aroused in the flood cycle. Now, it doesn't have a ouroboros serpent there, but it has the similar connections as we saw with those others, just a variation of that. So Tutankhamun in his guild, where we see these. Now these are images from the Arab alchemists. So before the Hermeticist alchemist of Europe that most people most dominates this, here we see these Arab alchemy images. Again, the ouroboros, the ouroboros, and worth noting also there, but ancient Egyptian symbolism in that sense. This is from Splendor Solis by Salman Trismosin, and it's just one of the images, and again these alchemical connections are linked in there, but you'll notice the black bird, the red bird, and the white bird as is linked there. That has to do with albedo, negro, and now the other one loses track, but again these alchemical operations, which are some great work anyway, reconstructing the before notation, before chemistry and metallurgy as we see them now, and all the names, and again the notation and the methods that we write this down. We have this ancient system of passing on this information. So just like now plus, minus, divide, these signs are relatively new. In the past they were quite different, and depending on numbers, notation has all changed. What we have now is not really what was going back a long time, but the black bird, the red bird, and the white bird, and connected to the ouroboros. Now you'll also find the ouroboros. You also find that image across, like, just countless ones. I'll put a link to a long playlist I did in regards to these symbols, how they connect to geometry, astronomy, math, alchemy as well, chemistry, really, metallurgy especially. So again, this Arab alchemy image with the ouroboros. There we see the older Egyptian one. So back to the summer solstice when the sun sets directly in between the pyramids as viewed from the 0 point marker which begins the Khafre Valley Causeway. I'll put if you're brand new to this channel, I'm going to put some playlist series in there because I'm just going through a lot of stuff very fast here for this video. But let's go back to the Akhet symbols and the variations on them. So the really old one, and then the later period up to about the 10th century BC, and of course the flood cycle so important until the 1970s. Here's another image. If you're familiar with the channel, I covered this just recently in regards to Shesset and the Mesquite-U and the constellations. But that's the Bull's foreleg, the Big Dipper, the North Star. But what we have is this lady standing next to her holding up this instrument. Well, what is that instrument? So that's it there. And of course Mesquite-U and these astronomical connections is also so important to the calendar system and to mark out the 3 seasons of Egypt. Well, that's what she has. That's what's sitting above those lions. The lions, the horizon of Akhet. You can see that image there, the lion gods of yesterday evening and this morning, sunset, sunrise. And this image, and that represents the heaven, the sky, ceiling, what is above. When the figure is with a person doing that, they're holding up the sky, they're suspending the sky above them. On its own, that symbol means heaven, sky, ceiling, what is above. What is above? The ouroboros, the blackbird, but what do we have here? We have 2 of those, and so the reverse of that would be below. What is above? What is below? As above, so below. This relates to, I'm going to get into it in a couple of videos, into how now the Rosetta Stone is what most people would think is where we began to understand hieroglyphs, but interesting connections that this knowledge and even the ability to read Egyptian was not lost when most people would think it was, with the basically with Byzantium taking control of Egypt and the last hieroglyphs being written. That there has been people, especially scientifically minded geometricians, astronomers, basically the Hermeticists, the Alchemists, have been passing this on. And this will relate to people such as Athanasius, Kircher, and others. That'll be for some other videos, but that's as above, so below. And at this, again, older science and the geometry, which is so important to that monumental architecture, and the math and the geometry and the astronomy connected with it. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Have a good one. I'll put some links in the description for a playlist if you're new to this channel, where I go through all of this in much more detail and depth. Cheers and have a good one.